on what is happening in the oil space. Stephen, what are traders focusing on at the moment then? Is it recession risks out of the US? Is it a further 25 basis points from the Fed? Or is it China and concerns about demand there?
Can I answer all of the above? Because essentially
yes,
it's a confluence of events. Of course, the U.S. recession is something that is in the mind and is causing, we've got analysts saying that this is the first time that U.S. recession fears and larger recession fears are being priced into energy markets. You're feeling really that the bears are in charge at the moment in the oil market, and there is this sort of acceleration for prices falling. Now, we are up a bit today. There was that recovery, but volatility is really being punctuated as there are fears that, yes, the Fed is, raising interest rates. What will they do from here? What's the impact on the U.S. market? Furthermore, there was some pretty negative U.S. data out yesterday that showed demand for some oil products were down. Meanwhile, stockpiles were kind of swelling. Chinese demand isn't bouncing back the way that some traders had hoped. And there is some data as well out of China that shows that industrial demand and output isn't as strong as some were expecting they would be at this time of year. Meanwhile, you have the resilience of Russian oil production. They said that they were going to cut production by 500,000 barrels a day. But when you look at the export data, it's still quite strong. It's not really translating into the market. All of that spells a lot more oil, not only in the market, but less fears of a tightening and more of a view that perhaps the oil market will be much better supplied by the end of the year when folks thought that perhaps it would be much tighter.
Well, I would, I'll challenge you a little bit, because I would say a 7% tank at the open in WTI says to me something's deeply wrong in the construct of a market. It's either recession, panic, or there is something much more malevolent in it. Now, we've had the envelope. We're all off to Vienna, I hope, at the beginning of June. It's interesting, His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman, when he wants to do something, a piece of theatre, a very clear message, create a floor. I know OPEC Plus don't target price. We're convening. What do we expect at OPEC Plus in Vienna this June?
What we expect is they're going to be having a pretty frank discussion, and it will be a talk about how to translate and basically interpret everything that's happening in the market. Their surprise oil cut, which took effect at the beginning of this month, has essentially done nothing to prices. We saw that brief spike, but now they're back below that level for Brent and WTI. So going forward, how will OPEC Plus respond now that there is a bit more looseness in the market? There's maybe more supply than initially thought, and demand isn't really bouncing back to the degree that they were expecting. Perhaps there will be another cut by OPEC Plus. That is going to be something that traders, the market, everyone will be watching very closely. But even if they have a cut, will the level of the cut and the announcement do much to stop this free fall? That is, I think, the big question at the moment.